Hi, I want to do a quick video today to show you how the powder resource reservation system can be used as part of the experimental workflow to figure out what resources you want and whether they are available and how to make a reservation for them. So let's log into the portal, and for our purposes today we're going to look at the SRS LTE over the air profile. So I'm going to find that profile, different ways of doing it, but one way is to start an experiment and then to change the default profile. So here it is, over the air, SRS LTE. So I'll select that profile. So this profile has a fairly detailed explanation of the resources that we would need. And specifically, we would need rooftop nodes or base station SDRs and fixed endpoint SDRs. Profile also has a link to the powder map, and so let's open that up and use that to select some target nodes for our experiment. So as we can see here on the map, the blue snowflakes are the rooftop nodes or the base station SDRs. The little black icons are the fixed endpoint or the human height SDRs. So let's suppose for our purposes that we want the Browning rooftop node, the behavioral science rooftop node. And then just by looking at the map, we might select these three fixed endpoints, so law, bookstore, and humanities, as potentially within reach of both of these rooftop nodes. And maybe we add in WEB for one that's close to Browning, and behavioral, we'll also select the central parking garage. So now that we have our set of target nodes, let's go back to the profile. We'll go to the next step, which is where we need to parameterize the profile. And so this is where we select the nodes that we want. So the X310 nodes, or the rooftop nodes, we did one Browning. And let's also add behavioral science. Okay, so we have our rooftop nodes selected. And now for the P210s, or the fixed endpoint nodes, we wanted the WEB node. We also wanted law and humanities and the central parking garage and bookstore. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Then this profile also wants us to select the frequencies that we'd want to use. And so I'm going to select the whole band 7 range. That way I can change the actual frequency I'm using depending on what's going on in that band when I do the experiment. So that'd be 2500 to 2570, and then 2620 to 2690. Okay, so we have our resources selected. Let's go to the next step. And for our purposes, we're just going to click through the next step and go to schedule. So if these resources were available, I would be able to just instantiate, click finish and instantiate at this point. As it were, the platform is telling me that these resources are not available, and it provides this great new resource reservation button so I can reserve these resources for future use. So the reservation page has a lot of information on it. And for our purposes, I'm going to look at this selected types availability graph that is showing me for the specific resources that we've selected when they become available. Right, and so if we mouse over this, we can see that at 2 p.m. this afternoon, I will be able to get the Browning cell SDR. Looks like there's enough compute nodes, and I should be able to get 3 of the fixed endpoints that I wanted. I go a little bit further out, and I can see that by 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, all of the resources I wanted will be available. So I have a choice at this point. Either I can make a reservation for tomorrow morning, or if I think I can make do with a subset of the resources, I can change the resources I want and see if I can make a reservation for later this afternoon. So let's do that. So let's remove the behavioral science rooftop node, which wasn't available. I will also remove WEB fixed endpoint and bookstore fixed endpoint. Okay, so well, let's see, and let's start this afternoon at 2 p.m. and see what happens. And maybe we'll just put it in for a few hours. We'll say till 5 p.m. And now I can see if those resources are actually available. And it turns out it's not, right? So we have our physical resources are all available, but it turns out the frequency we requested is not. So now we can scroll down again and we can look at the frequency ranges that are allowed and the frequency ranges that are either in use or being reserved. So if we look at this, we can see that in this range that we requested, there is a reservation. In fact, this is an in use that goes till tomorrow morning, and it covers a subset of the band that we requested. And there is a companion one for the uplink. Okay, so let's change our frequency reservation to see if we can sidestep that one. Of course, then once we do our experiment, we'll have to likewise use a subset of the frequency ranges. So for the uplink, let's start that at 2511. The current reservation goes to 2510, and then for the downlink, we'll do 2651. The current one goes to 2650. So let's see how it goes now. All right, looks like this this reservation or these resources are available, so I can now formally submit a request for these resources starting at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Okay, and so now it tells me that I have a reservation for those resources, tells me the status is pending. So this reservation request will have to be approved by one of the platform administrators, but assuming they do so, I should have the resources that I wanted, or at least the subset that were available this afternoon, available for my experiment. Thank you.